not a mechanic. I drive 40 miles a day to and from work, every day, 5 days a week. Now I do that with a truck. If you don't know, trucks don't get great gas mileage. And if you didn't know, gas isn't that cheap. So I decided, hey, let's buy a cool little commuter car that I can get to and from work, spend a lot less money, and maybe have a little bit more fun driving. So what did I do? I bought a high mile, 188,000 miles to be exact, 2009 Lexus. And guess what? It's a total piece. So what we're gonna do, and why I decided to video all this, is we are going to do an engine swap. Now, like I said before, I am not a mechanic. I think there's a lot of other people out there like me who are maybe in similar situations, or maybe don't have the money to do these crazy big builds that we see all over YouTube, and you just want to see a regular dude figure this shit out and do an engine swap. And I want to prove to myself that I can do it, and then maybe it'll help somebody else do it down the road. It's November 16th. It's 11:30 in the morning currently on the East Coast, and we'll see how long this takes.
After significantly more prompting and talking to people who do this for a living, we settled on something that worked better for this project. Let me give you some background. This 2009 Lexus IS250 comes stock with a 4GR FSE engine. Incredibly reliable engine. My issue is that even though this car had a clean Carfax, it was in a front-end collision. And I did not notice that until after I got it home and I started inspecting it a little bit further than I originally did at the used car dealership that I bought it. Now, on my third day of owning it, I started to have some cooling issues. I originally thought it was the thermostat. Replace the thermostat. Easy job, about $30. Replacing the coolant, bleeding the coolant, good to go. That worked for about 2 days. Then the water pump went out, impeller shredded. Replaced the water pump. That was a little bit longer of a job, about 5 to 6 hours, about $100. Again, replacing the coolant, bleeding the coolant. Everything was good for about 4 days. Well, that water pump that I had bought to replace the original went out. Again, I believe an impeller shred. This time, I think due to debris. So when I took it apart again, flushed out the radiator, everything seemed to be good for another 3 to 4 days. And then it started overheating again. Well, it turns out if your vehicle overheats that many times, you will likely blow a head gasket. And that's exactly what I did. So I started getting random misfires and then codes for cylinder 6 and cylinder 2 misfires. Upon further inspection, additional white smoke coming out of the exhaust, I've determined that I blew a head gasket. Now, that job on this engine specifically is fairly robust. Most mechanics don't even recommend doing it. They would just do an engine swap anyway. The engine swap is marginally more expensive, but long-term, I'd rather do that than try to do this big head gasket job on this engine just for it to still be broken later on. So that's why we're here, and that's what we're doing. Now, let's get started. What I did first is just remove all the covers, remove the overflow tank for the cooling system. Now I'm going to drain everything, and while everything is draining, we'll start with the coolant, then we'll do the oil, then we'll do the transmission fluid. While all that is draining, I'm going to start taking tape and start labeling everything in here that we're gonna be eventually taking off. That way when I go to put everything back together, I know what goes where. To drain the coolant from the radiator on this car, it's super easy. You're just gonna take this little petcock out from the bottom. Make sure you pop the radiator cap off first. That way you get a good flow. Every step of the way, I've been discovering awesome new things with this car. So I don't know if you can see this right here, but the bumper was secured in a lot of spots just with legitimately like contracting screws that they just screwed through the plastic into these pieces of plastic here, which are actually for the fender well. So pretty awesome. Right here you can see where there was clearly a front end collision. It does not come like this from factory. I also do not believe there's this amount of like fiberglass super glue combination on your wiper blade water reservoir either from factory. So we'll see what other surprises we find. Some cool loose wires in here. Yep, pretty dope. Now, as a quick rule of thumb, just to keep myself straight, all the bolts that I take out of everything, I'm gonna put back in the holes that I took them out. So when I go to put it back together, I know what it is. Another way you could do this is by bagging it up and labeling everything, but I don't know what anything is called because I'm not a mechanic. So I'm just gonna put the bolts back in the holes I got them from. I did plan on replacing the radiator anyway, but looking at this fan shroud, it's pretty rough. I might have to replace this too.
I feel like one of the best parts about doing this and replacing everything is that you can learn a lot about what you're doing while you're taking stuff apart. And you don't really have to worry about like breaking things or misplacing things because you're gonna replace it all anyway. That might not be the best way to look at it, but it's how I'm looking at it. So remember when I said I was just gonna take the bolts that I took out and keep them in the holes after I removed it, so that way when I put it back together, I could just screw them back in wherever I found them rather than bagging stuff up. Well, it turns out I'm gonna have to do both. So some of the bolts you're gonna take out, you're not gonna have a place to put them anymore because you're gonna throw shit away, like the radiator, for example. So some of those things I am going to bag up and just label. The goal of this is not just to complete the project, but to show every single step of the project, not just the fun stuff. A lot of the videos of engine swaps on YouTube show the engine inside the car, then it's outside the car. Then there's the new engine, and then the new engine is inside the car. But as you can see, there's a lot more tedious work that goes into it. Okay, here's where we're at. Radiator gone. Radiator fan gone. I took out both fender liners. Both headlights are disconnected and hanging on the ground. I took out a lower support that was here. All of the engine covers. I haven't taped anything off yet. I still need to disconnect the battery before I do anything else. I've taken off some hoses connecting to the thermostat and the thermostat housing. This thermostat is relatively new, but I do think it is out. I think that this is clogged, and that's what caused it to overheat the last time. This water pump is brand new within the last week or so, so I will be 100% keeping that.
This belt is also brand new, so I'll be keeping that. And I just think that that's an important thing to remember if you are doing a direct one-for-one swap on engines, is that you can cannibalize a lot of the good stuff off of this and just keep it as extra parts in the future, just in case you have issues with whatever motor you get next. So far, to take off all the stuff around it and all the supporting equipment for the engine, it's relatively straightforward. I mean, you see a bolt and that attaches the metal to the metal. You take off the bolt and then you separate those two parts, and then use whatever system you're going to use to make sure you remember where those bolts go back, which bolts go to what. My camera died and I ended up doing a lot more off camera than I originally intended to, but it wasn't much to see anyway. So removed the wiring harness from side to side so I could move all the wiring that isn't attached to the motor off to the sides, and then the wiring that's going to stay with this motor, I was able to just throw it up on top. It's a super easy process. Just follow the wires, undo the clips, pull them out. Even in the fuse boxes, it was just literally undoing clips and pulling them out, and everything disattached pretty easily. All this I feel like would be much easier with two people, but as you can see, it's doable with one person. Next time I'm in here, hopefully we can get everything disconnected. I'll go ahead and start disconnecting all the bolts in the back that connect the transmission to the back side of the engine, disconnecting the exhaust. That way when the new engine gets here, this one will be ready to come right out, and we can go ahead and throw the new one in and start buttoning everything up. One thing I did notice now that everything is apart is that the collision this car was in was significantly more damaging than I originally had assessed or had thought. So as you can see, that side is the side the collision was not on. The frame is pretty straight, everything is buttoned up nice and tight. It's gonna look extra bad because all the wires are over here, but this frame here is clearly at an angle, slicing out away from the car rather than coming on straight. And you can see in here, it's all torn up as well. This is all bent. That's all bent. So rather than being straight in, this thing is jaying out. So once the engine's out, I'm probably going to attempt to pull this in a little bit to just try to straighten everything out a little bit more. All right, that's gonna do it for today, day one, November 16th. I don't know when I'll have a chance to get back in here. It's Sunday today, so probably next weekend, but we'll see with the holidays coming up how long this takes me. So far, this wasn't so bad. I've been in here for 3 hours or so, and I was able to pretty much disassemble majority of what I needed to and even more today, and drain everything I needed to. So hopefully maybe an hour, 2 hours left of work of disconnecting, disassembling everything before this thing is ready to come out. I don't have a shipping date yet for when the engine is supposed to get here. I did order it last night, but it's Sunday again, so I'm sure I'll get information on that tomorrow, and then that'll kind of determine my timeline.